Working on a 2007 Nissan Murano all-wheel drive with the 3.5-liter Nissan VQ35DE, and just wanted to hit on some tips and tricks of getting basically the engine tore down inside the engine bay. It is doable. It does suck, but there's a couple things that sucked real bad that I just wanted to talk about. So down here on the driver's side, or excuse me, the passenger side, where you're going to access the engine and timing cover, the power steering pump right here, it has this extremely long bolt that you have to access from the back side. And when this is all put together, you barely have enough room to get your hand in there. If you have like a really long wrench, I happen to have a 9/16 wrench that's about a foot long that I could just do little itty bitty turns at a time like that. It's super obnoxious until I could finally get my fingertips in there and get it loosened up to come back. Here's the alternator, and the thing about this one, it's got this another super long bolt that when it's all put together and you have to take it apart, it comes in from the back side, and again, it's just extremely difficult to access. So you kind of cramming your hand up. So you need to take the AC compressor down to give yourself a little bit of room to cram it up back from underneath the frame. So you can try to just work it out that way, and then you kind of drop it down. I would suggest going ahead and paying the $20 for the 30-day of the all data. That way you have access to all the torque specs and tightening sequences that you're going to need to put it back together. Pretty much remove everything that is accessible to get removed. Give yourself plenty of room. So the engine computer's over here, along with the coolant reservoir sits over there. Get that stuff out of the way. The cooling fan that goes over here, the battery bracket and the battery and all that stuff that's over there. And then this coolant line right here, this connects to the head as well. So you're going to have to remove it, but then also you've got to remove the bolt to the transmission dipstick, because this has to come out of the way to give access for this thing to come over. So that part was really obnoxious, but you can leave it in there and get it out. One of the biggest things you can do is remove this windshield cowl that goes right here. It's a metal piece. There's plastic trim that goes over it, and it's just held in there with some 10mm bolts. I believe they're 10s, and it'll come out and it'll give you access up here in the back that if you leave it on there, your hand will barely fit and it'll drive you nuts. So just take a few minutes and take that crap out of there. This is the H10 socket that you need to remove the head bolts. H10, so it's a 10mm. And then most of the other sockets you're going to need is 10, 12, 14, and 117 for just a few bolts. Mostly 10, 12, and 14 is what works on this one. I've got this handy tool cart that we can layer things on, which is real nice to be able to roll it next to the car and just have access to your tools. And then, obviously lay everything out as you need to. But one other important piece on this, when you get it taken apart, your valve lifters. Make sure that your valve lifters go in the same exact place where they came off of. Same thing with your brackets here that hold the camshaft down. So here's the heads. Head gasket was having some problems, had a blown head gasket, and just verifying that, look in here, you can see all that milky crap that's happening. And this, I just had brand new fluid of coolant and oil in it, and this was just after a few minutes of firing. Obviously it's good to bag and tag everything so you know exactly what goes to what, because I mean, my god, eventually you're going to forget which one was which. And then make sure you get a new either thermostat gasket or thermostat with gasket, because that's not going to reseal most likely when you go to put it back. So just want to give a little heads up on a few things just to make your life easier, because as you go through and you find out how bad it sucks, you question what you were doing. Then just have a jack with, I just use 2x4 and a 1x4 to put up on the right side of the upper oil pan to move the engine up and down as I need to. Thanks so much.